Hi there, I'm Alex Harrison, the editor of Metal Bulletin in London. I'm here with Dhaval Joshi, who's the Chief European Strategist at BCA Research. For a long time, Dhaval, people have used the copper price as an indicator for the global economy, and yet recently some analysts have begun to question the relationship. Why has that happened?
I think there's several reasons. I think the principal reason is the vagaries of the copper market, or so they claim. On the supply side, there's this belief that there are all these hidden inventories, particularly in China, these bonded warehouses, and therefore supply is driving the price rather than demand as it used to be. And on the demand side for copper in particular, structural changes like, for example, the replacement of copper pipes in houses with PEX plastic pipes supposedly is putting this sort of downward pressure on copper prices. And the third reason is that people think that it is all about China rather than about the world economy. So these are the reasons why people believe that Dr. Copper doesn't work anymore. Okay. Although I disagree with that.
Yeah, and why do you believe that the validity of Dr. Copper as an indicator is still intact then?
Okay, well I think there's 3 points I would make. Point number one is that if you look at the copper cycle and say German GDP, it still works extremely well. So this shows that it is not just about China, or even if it is about China, it's still relevant because an economy like Germany, as an exporter, depends on China. So it is still valid for a key economy like Germany. Yeah. I think the second point I would make is that the cycle that you're getting in copper is actually the same as all other industrial metals at the moment. Yeah. When you're looking at aluminium, nickel, lead, tin, zinc, it's all the same in terms of where you are in the cycle. It's just the amplitude that is different for copper, which may be sort of because of these vagaries. But I think it's the cycle phase that is important.
Because I suppose you've compared aluminium and copper prices, and the correlation is still very strong, isn't it?
And I think the final point I'd make on this particular area is that if you look at the global credit cycle, which obviously determines the demand cycle, that is still fitting the copper cycle perfectly.
So the correlation there is still
intact. Amazingly good. Yeah. So what we're saying is Dr. Copper is still working as a measure of the global economy.
Okay. And I know you've come up. There's a trade idea that you've come up with as a result. Are you able to talk to us about that?
Yeah. Well, look. Here's the big story. You've got this massive divergence between what stock markets are saying and what copper is saying, what other commodities are saying. Now, what my thesis is that commodities and copper are giving you a pretty good gauge of the global economy, that it's sort of sluggish pretty much at the moment. So there is nothing wrong with that message. And yet stock markets are reaching all-time highs, the DAX or the S&P, whichever one you want to take. So there is this disconnect, and I think there is a very good reason for this. It is what central banks are doing. Yeah. Central banks are flooding the market with monetary liquidity. That's having a big impact on stock prices, not yet on the economy. So my trade is simple. One of these is going to have to sort of correct. If the economy is going to improve next year, then I think commodity prices are going to go up. Yeah. If it's hope, hope and hype rather than reality that it feeds through into the economy, then you may have some sort of setback in equities. So the trade is really clear. You buy out of the money, deep out of the money call options on copper, and simultaneously buy deep out of the money put options on, say, the DAX. And my point is that one of them, is going to make you a lot of money, whereas the other one will expire worthless. But net, you may still be up. Okay,
and over what kind of time period are you envisaging this trade taking place?
I think you need to buy 1-year options, because I think within a year or so you need to get some sort of resolution of this dichotomy, this divergence.
Fantastic. So we'll come back to you perhaps in a year's time, Dhaval, and see how the trade's worked out.
I look forward to it.
Thanks very much.